Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some snow globe scene shaker gift tags to share with you using new stamps and dies from the Mama Elephant October 2021 release. I knew when I saw this arch shaker snow globe and then the cute critters from the October release that I would have to create some gift tags from these because they just screamed to me that they would be the perfect little shaker tags. If you have followed me for any length of time, you know that I love making my own gift tags that can also double oftentimes as ornaments if you want them to, or other kinds of embellishment, so that's what I'm doing today. This is the Arch Snow Globe. This is an awesome collection. You can see that all the pieces you get. I slowed down the video, or I left it real time, I should say. I didn't slow it down. I left it real time to kind of show you the components. The only thing I didn't show right there was the tree that comes with it, but you can see it there on the screen behind the hedgehog. Then I stamped the pieces from this stamp set. This is the Stay Warm stamp set. And now I'm going to show you the assembly line style creation of these shaker tags. I did die cut all of the pieces I needed before starting the video, but then I'm going to do all of the stamping, coloring, and assembling while this video is on. So using the cover here, or the frame of my shaker, I've got the frame, I've got the backing piece that's die cut out of smooth white. From the smooth white, we are going to stamp the tree on 3 of the 4 tags. So in the Stay Warm stamp set, you get the owls, hedgehogs, koala, birds, and squirrels. So the only image I'm not using is the koala today. And that's simply because the koala is kind of made to look like he's hanging over the edge of the branch, which is super cute, but the tree does not have a coordinating die, and I didn't feel like masking, to be quite honest. So I went with the other 4 images instead. Then on the third background, we're just going to leave that solid white for now, and we will come back to that in a little bit. So the trees all stamped with Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink, which is a great ink for Copic coloring. I'm going to go ahead and move that aside for a minute, and we are going to do some stamping and embossing. In fact, I'm going to do all the stamping and embossing I need for this project right now, starting with the sentiment for the thin red strip that goes along the bottom edge of our snow globe. This is a sentiment from the Everything Nice stamp set, another new product from the October 2021 release. I did slightly curve up both the front and back of this sentiment so that it would just kind of lay a little nicer along the slightly rounded edge of this strip. And I used the Just a Little Gift. Since I am making these gift tags, I thought that that would be the perfect little sentiment phrase for the bottom edge of this strip. I prepped each strip prior to stamping with a powder tool and then heat embossed with white embossing powder. We're going to continue this for all 4 of these strips. And it's very much just assembly line style. So if you love to make your own gift tags, this is a great way to do that. Now, something I do want to note, let's say that you want to use your snow globe on the front of a card instead of making a tag with that. That will also be very cute. If you're interested in seeing some of those kind of ideas, let me know for future videos and things like that. What you would do is I would probably kind of change sentiments that I use for one thing. But the other thing is I created or die cut that backing panel from the slate gray cardstock that you see on my table there. You will not need that piece because that background piece that we stamped the tree on, that can be your background or backing for the shaker. So you can still make a shaker and make a shaker card with this arch. You just won't add the backer, and you won't add the little tab up at the top to make it a tag. So it's really versatile, and you can definitely create more than just a gift tag from this set. Next, we have all of our little red strips. We are going to take the gray part, which is the back of our arch snow globe, and we are going to stamp it with sentiments. Couple things to note. This die really does need to go a certain way. So I can't use, you know, when you're die cutting, there's like a nicer side. In this case, you really can't flip it over and do them back to back because they don't line up. I tried it before I did my stamping and that wasn't going to work. Luckily, I don't think the back of my cardstock, my die cut shaker, is bad, so it didn't bother me at all. Sometimes ways you can get around that is a new cutting plate, or, you know, clean your cutting plate really good before die cutting it. I did not do that, and I still think it worked out fine, but those are a couple things that you can do. Then I'm going to take sentiments, and I know I'm doing it upside down, but I really wanted that kind of straighter edge along the corner of my Misty. I am simply going to do all 4 backgrounds at the same time. My greetings are all from, so the holiday hugs is from Everything Nice. From all of us to all of you is from Everything Nice, pardon me. So both of those are from the new stamp set. This is a new sentiment stamp set. Oh my gosh, you guys, I absolutely love it. The fonts are darling. I'm sure that's going to be so super popular. And then to and from, I went to my stash and grabbed the Mama Elephant Holiday Messages set and stamped to and from down there. Now I lined all of this up at once so that I could press the entire thing at one time, sprinkle on my white embossing powder at one time, and heat set all at once. If you want, you could always stamp holiday hugs on a separate piece of cardstock, maybe a separate color, which is something I considered, but I will tell you, because there are coordinating dies, I wanted to mention that, but I'm going to tell you why I opted not to. I will often not spend quite as much time, obviously, on the back of the tag as the front. And so for me, I felt like this was a quicker way to get a beautiful back of my tag without having to have that extra step of a separate piece of cardstock and die cutting and then adhering to my tag. So just by stamping everything flat here on the back or all at once, it just saves quite a bit of time. And I wanted to really concentrate on my tag front instead. So simply going to stamp, emboss, and set aside one right after another. Now you'll notice I'm being pretty generous with my powder tool over this because I want the backs to remain pretty clean, meaning I don't want stray embossing powder flakes anywhere, and so that really helps with that, but it leaves that powdery residue. You can see it kind of in the upper part of the screen for both the red strips and the gray backers. When I am done stamping and embossing, I am going to take a dry microfiber cloth. You can also take maybe a dry paper towel, another kind of dry rag, and I am going to buff away any of that powder sitting on top. You want to make sure your embossing powder is nice and cool. You don't want it to be hot because you can smear it, but if it has cooled off, which it cools off very quickly, just go ahead and pretty firmly buff away that excess powder, and you end up with a beautiful result. And I'm going to do that not only for the backers, but the red strips as well. And then I'm going to kind of just assemble my piles because we have some work to do as far as stamping and coloring and getting everything ready before we put them together. I'm going to move those quickly out of the way. And we're going to go back to our background panels where we stamped the tree from Stay Warm. I've got some salvaged patina distress oxide ink here. I did not mask off the tree. If a little bit of ink gets on the tree, I totally don't care. I'm trying to use a pretty light hand and just kind of go right up next to the tree. It will overlap a bit, but I promise when we color with our Copic markers, it will cover up any of that blue inking. So I'm just going to create a really light blue wintry sky here for each of my scenes. On that fourth background, we can go ahead and just ink the entire thing with our salvaged patina ink, because we're going to be layering on all of the components. We don't have to try to avoid the tree on that last one. It's really not any less work. It's just a different kind of scene, because we are going to be adding that individual tree. You can see the tree die sitting there on my table, and we'll even add in some of these snowy hills that I ended up not using on the tree trunk backgrounds, but we will use them on the pine tree. Now that we have our backgrounds inked, I'm going to go ahead and grab some Copic markers, and we're going to do our coloring of these trees. So I'm going to clean up my work surface really quick. Let's move our ink out of the way, and I'm going to grab E55 and E57 and color in our tree trunks. I only used 2 colors and really quick coloring here. So I went in with my dark color first, and then I blended out with the lighter color. I will show coloring one of these, and then I will probably speed through the remaining 2 just to save a little time in the video today. I'm just kind of tracing along any of the stamped lines of the design, and you can see where the blue overlaps some of those smaller branches out here along the left side. The brown marker covers that up easily. No masking needed. Definitely with gift tags, I did not want to mask anything and take that extra time. I want the tags to be cute, but I also don't want to spend all of my time fussy cutting. And I want to work to get a nice blend here. So if it isn't blending super great, I want to just kind of keep working on that until the blend is just right and we don't have any harsh lines. I will tell you, for each of the trees, I colored it in, kind of getting a nice blend, but almost too much. And so I would go back with E57 and add some darker areas here and there where I felt like my tree trunk needed it. There are my 3 tree trunks, and here I just wanted to show you deepening and darkening some little areas. You can blend it out or not, it really is up to you. I felt like I kind of got a little heavy-handed, and so I did kind of try to blend some of that out a bit. But I love this. It's so super cute, and definitely going to give a great background little scene to each of our shaker tags. For the little bits of greenery down near the base, we're going to use YG97. And it's pretty dark. It's a pretty dark olive green. And just color all of that in. Then we're going to do a little more stamping before we color in our critters. So in addition to like the sentiment, so the just a little note that we're doing, or just a little gift, pardon me, that goes along the bottom that's on that red strip, and then of course the backing, I thought it would be fun to add something to the front of the acetate. I personally love when my acetate has some stamping or some text on it. And so we're going to take the sentiment from Stay Warm that says "Sending you warm, cozy hugs," and we're going to stamp that on the acetate piece. I already die cut all of my acetate. This is some Lawn Fawn acetate. It die cuts really nicely. It's perfect for shakers. And I'm using my background panel and then my frame so that I can gauge where I want this to go. On 3 of the tags with the owls that will sit on the branch, the squirrel, and then the birds, we can stamp "Sending you warm, cozy hugs" kind of down there in the bottom left where you see me stamping that. The only exception is, of course, going to be the background that's a little bit different. Now on this one, if we stamped it down there, the hedgehogs, the text is going to go right through the middle of the hedgehogs. Well, I don't want that. So for that one, we're actually going to move the sentiment up towards the top, and it's going to end up overlapping or overlaying, I guess I should say, the trees that are going to be sticking up tall. And you'll see what I mean here in a little bit. So we stamped it in the same place for 3 of those backgrounds. I'm using Stazon cotton white ink. If you are stamping on acetate, remember that you need to use a Stazon ink. White is my all-time favorite. I have white and black. I believe Stazon ink comes in other colors. I know at one point, many years ago, I had other colors of ink, but anymore I just have white and black. I use white probably 90% of the time. I love how it looks, and I like that it's not overpowering on these cards. So on this 4th one, we're going to stamp the same sentiment up at the top. You probably will need like an ultra clean Stazon type cleaner to get that off. I did not use that. I just used regular stamp cleaner, but I stamped my sentiment, or cleaned my sentiment right away. Then we're going to color in our images. I have listed the colors across the top of the screen. I know that sometimes it overlaps some of the white, so if it is hard to read, please know that that information can always be found on my blog post as well. I will have the colors listed out for each individual image if you want that for easy reference. For my hedgehogs, I'm using E40, 43, 44, and 47 with R00 for the cheeks. This combination will also be used for the owls. So I'm using this quite a bit for my cards today. This is my favorite color combination. I know I've told you guys this quite a lot. For fur, I use it for other things that I color in brown as well. The E55 and E57 I use for the tree trunk. That is a color combination that I use a lot for trees. Sometimes I'll use this one depending on what else I have to color. But if I'm coloring fur for a critter, probably 90% of the time, if it's browns, this is the color combination that I use. Some combination of these. Sometimes I even throw in E49 if I need even darker color. Then for the red of the scarf, we are going to keep our scarf or accessory images real traditional with red and green. Part of my goal when I am creating projects to share is I also want it to be something that I personally can use. And I know I've talked about this a lot in the past, but my wrapping matches my tree. I do a red and white tree. And so my tags with the red, white, and gray of them, and then I, of course, did throw in the greens here and there, but they're mostly a red and white kind of tag. That's because they're going to match the wrapping paper I already have. If you use blues or purples, or maybe you use more modern colors, lots of pinks and reds, limier greens, definitely match your images to your wrapping paper. I always just like to preface that with a lot of times the colors I choose are something so that I can actually use these things that I make. Now, I am thinking that these tags, especially since they say from all of us to all of you, I'm going to tie these to the top of neighbor gifts. I like to give my neighbors like a plate of goodies or whatever. I think that I am going to tie these to that. My neighbors to one side of me have 2 darling little girls, and so I kind of like to do something. I'll probably give each of them one of these so they can each have one. But that's kind of my plan, especially with the sentiments I used. You could always kind of leave off that kind of sentiment if you're going to use them for personal gifts, like if they're going to be from, or it could be from like mom and dad or something like that, whatever the case may be. Just customize the tags to work for you. So I did my favorite reds. My favorite red color combination of the season for that scarf there on the larger hedgehog are 24, 46, and 59. I'm going to continue that throughout. The greens for the smaller hedgehog are G24 and 28. That is another color combination I've been using a ton for holiday coloring this season so far. For my little owls, that is going to be the same browns that we just used. Their accessories, I mean, how cute is that stocking cap? I love it. And then the little one has got a little scarf. I am going to use reds and greens for this as well. The only extra color here, excuse me, is YR27 for the beaks and feet of the owls. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love owls for holiday, and I think these guys are so cute. Mama Elephant always knocks it out of the park with their critters. I know I've heard from a lot of you guys how much you love their critters. Me too. So for sure, I wanted to mention that here. And we're just going to color in the rest of the accessories. I will tell you, I had to play around with my squirrel color combination. I probably could have gone back and looked. I really need to have it written down somewhere. I used a certain color combination for squirrels, but I wanted to use something different today. And it took me a minute to get something that worked really well. So I'm going to save the squirrels for last. I colored my little bluebirds in a color combination that I actually don't use as often as I'd like, but I've been using it quite a bit lately. I really, really like it for both fall and winter type of cards. And that's going to be a blue-green color combination, but it's not going to be the blue-green that's more aqua. I mean, this is aqua, but I call it more of the jewel tone aquas, I guess I should say. More teal, maybe. And it is a blue-green in 70, 72, and 75. And that's what we're going to use for these two little birds. I love the Mama Elephant little birds. I love that they all have that little chubby face. For lack of a better term, I don't even know what to call it. I just think the illustration on these guys is so, so cute. Don't get me wrong. Every single one of these critters is absolutely darling. And what I love that Mama Elephant does, Lawn Fawn does this. I know some of our other favorite companies do this as well. These critters are going to work back to previous stamp sets that you maybe already own, even previous winter and holiday stamp sets that you may already own from Mama Elephant from previous years. So you can totally mix and match, which is so fantastic if you are building a scene card. Imagine taking the hedgehogs and going back to some of your other sets with hedgehogs. They're all going to match. Same with the squirrels, same with the birds, same with the owls. And the birds are small enough that they could just be mixed and matched with lots of your other critters. The koala, same thing. There's a fantastic koala set from Mama Elephant. Mix and match those guys with this one. So very versatile, and it just kind of extends the life of some of those other sets that we already own. So here are our little birds. Don't you just love that blue-green color combination? I love, love, love it. The little belly, oh, I forgot to mention, and I think I even forgot to put it on the screen. I will make sure and do that on my blog, is Yellow Red 31. And that's, I just like to have the belly a little bit different color, but I didn't want it to be a bright yellow, so I used a yellow red, YR31, my very favorite yellow marker. Okay, the squirrels that gave me the trouble. E99 is a color I like, but I didn't want to do anything too orangey, I guess, for lack of a better way. So I didn't go with E97. It's a very, very orange marker, even though it's close in the number sequence, I guess, with this marker. I personally don't think that they work that great together. So I pulled in E50 and E53, and while E50 ends up kind of washing out E99 quite a bit, if you just kind of give it a minute, let that alcohol ink dry, go back over it, because you can see here, it really washes it out. It almost takes away too much of that reddish earth tone that undertone, I guess, I want for my squirrel. So I went back with E99, and I'm just going to blend it out this time and use a little less E50. So I added E99, and then I'm going to use E53. I really wanted to show this so that you guys can see that you might not nail it right off the bat. Do not fear. Just go ahead and go in and rework it. Especially my best tip for Copic markers or any alcohol ink markers, not just Copics. Start lighter than what you think and then gradually work your way to darker until you get it exactly the way you want it to look. And then for these guys, of course, red and green scarves. So consistent all the way through with the color choices, but definitely go with whatever matches your theme. And then we're going to take the coordinating dies. All of the critters have dies in this set. So the tree does not have a coordinating die, and then there's like some little leaves that you can add to the tree. There are not dies for that, and there's some hearts. We are going to use the hearts. There are no dies for that. So you're going to get 5 dies in the Stay Warm set that coordinate with these critters. Once I've die cut them, I'm going to take my black jelly roll pen, my glaze pen, and I'm going to add detail to the eyes. I also added white pen detail prior to die cutting. I've mentioned this in the past, but if this is your first time here, welcome. I don't add the black glaze pen or jelly roll pen to the eyes until I've die cut, because I found that it kind of almost gives a little bit of a raised finish. And by raised, I mean it's very slight. It just gives the eye some nice definition. If you do that first and then roll it through your die cutting machine, it will flatten the jelly roll ink, and I think it kind of messes up the face a little bit. So I always add my black jelly roll after I have die cut my critters. Now I did die cut 2 of this tree. This tree comes with the arch snow globe, and I'm going to color them in really quickly with my Copic markers. I'm only using G24 and 28, laying down G28 first. And just with these 2 markers, I think we get amazing trees. I want to create a whole forest of these little trees because I think they're really cute. And so I laid down and I kind of did that flicking or feathering motion with G28. Then I'm going over the entire tree with G24. I'm kind of doing the same thing. I don't want to overblend it. I just want it to have a really beautiful tree, pine tree type of look. These 2 trees are going to be used on the hedgehog card. So we are about ready to start putting it all together. I think we have all of our components now. Once we have our trees all shaded and colored in, I'm going to clean my work surface really quick. I have a little stamp cleaner on that microfiber cloth. And then we are going to go ahead and add our critters to the background scene. So for the scenes with the tree trunk, I'm simply going to take a little liquid glue and glue them in place, sitting on the branch. So the owls are sitting on the branch. The squirrels are sitting up on the branch. And then the birds will be sitting up on the branch. And then we're going to let that dry. I'm going to put glue on the back of the frames, and then we are going to simply place the acetate piece on the back. And we're going to let that dry. So we're building the front of our shakers, and I'm going to do this for all 4. However, you kind of need that frame, I'm going to tell you right now, to line up the snow banks for the one card that I'm doing different, and I kind of forgot. I think I show it on camera how I fix that, but if you could, just hold off on the acetate until you've glued those snowbanks to that final background. I should have done that first, but I forgot. But I'm just using a nice thin line of glue on the back of each frame and adding my acetate in place, and then I'm just kind of letting it sit there and dry. By having all of your pieces ready to go, it does make assembly go very fast. Let's see. Our final background, and this is where I realized my big mistake, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. I'm actually just going to hold the frame, and I'm going to lay my snow bank back behind the bottom one. I'm going to put glue on the back of that, and then I'm just going to kind of lay that down and glue it in place. That worked pretty good. Then we need to glue the other snowbank and our trees, but I do want to kind of have my trees in between the two snowbanks there. I want to figure out where everything is going to go first. I did play around with this for a minute. You could even add more than just the 2 trees. I think 3 would fit on here pretty easily if you wanted. And then I'm going to shift my hedgehogs kind of over to the left a little bit. I thought that was cute because I can stamp some little hearts coming up from them. And then I'm even going to stamp a little heart from Stay Warm above my 2 little birds. So there is how that's looking. I like that. I laid it out first, double checked it with the acetate cover. When I decided I like that, I'm just going to glue all of the rest of the components down really well. So just kind of, I want it to be a little taller than the tree on the right. And a little glue on the back of the hedgehogs. Press them down. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I used the Jelly Roll pen on the noses for the hedgehogs and the squirrels. I think it really makes the noses stand out. So it's not always eyes, sometimes it's noses. I'm going to take some Lawn Fawn Lobster ink and I am going to stamp some little hearts. These hearts again are from Stay Warm. We'll do a big heart and 2 small ones on the hedgehog card, and then we're going to use the small one on the birds card. And I stamped it off on a scrap piece of paper first since I'm using an acrylic block to make sure that I had a nice impression before taking it to my actual project. Okay, we are ready to assemble the shaker. I did try just 1 layer of foam, but I will tell you that I don't think that your shaker works very well if it's not very thick foam. So definitely keep that in mind. Oh, before we do that, I guess I am going to do along the bottom edge. So glue down both layers. I have a gray die cut layer. That's that slate gray cardstock. I'm going to glue that down along the bottom, and then I'm going to glue the red piece on top. Something I noticed, and I did not notice it until I'd already taken the photos for this project, but I do want to mention it here. So I am going to embellish this red strip with little snowflakes on either side. I did it on the first tag, and then I completely forgot my snowflakes on the remaining tags. So keep in mind that after this video was shot and after I did all of the work, I did add extra snowflakes because I think they add such a cute little decorative touch since our sentiment doesn't go all the way along the bottom edge. So here's that red strip that I'm talking about, the Just a Little Gift. And we're just going to glue all of these down. Make sure they're pressed down really well. And I'm excited to show you the foam adhesive I use because it too is brand new today. It is a brand new product from Waffle Flower Crafts. They have some great shakers too. Today is all about shakers here on my channel, it seems like. But I use their foam tape for these shakers and I absolutely love it. It's real sticky though, so do keep that in mind. But it's nice and thin and it works perfect. So I'm going to put adhesive then on the back of my slate gray tag backer, and we are just simply going to pop each of these in place. There is the first one. Here is our next one. And I'm just doing all of them at the same time. And it's kind of a front to back situation because there definitely is, it's not perfectly mirror image. It does need to go a certain way. That's why we stamped it on the back of that piece. And now it's time for the foam strips. This is what the foam strips from Waffle Flower looks like. There are different lengths. Again, it's super, super sticky. One layer is not going to work very well, at least for this, in my opinion. I used something pretty flat for a shaker, and I didn't think one layer of tape worked very well. I had to kind of pull one of my first one apart. It's not super high profile, which I love, so I recommend doubling up your foam adhesive. Double it up, you're going to be much happier with the results, and part of that is because we have die cut pieces adhered inside of our shaker. Your shaker material often won't move as good. You just need a little bit more profile, a little bit more room so that your components can move around inside a little bit better. So you can see the super skinny piece there along the edge of the snow globe, and then I've got the thicker pieces that I'm going to put down here. Now my best tip for this, if you remove, so you pull the strip off of the backing paper, it still has the release on one side. Pull that side off as well, because that makes your foam adhesive pliable, meaning you can go around the entire top of this snow globe shaker so easily, and just with one strip, because they have these super long strips in the Waffle Flower foam strips. You can just go one strip around, pull the backing paper off of another one and layer it on top and go all the way around. You guys, I barely used any foam from this for 4 of these tags, and I used quite a bit. There is a lot of foam strips on one sheet of these, and I believe there's a couple sheets that come in each pack. Really, really awesome. I absolutely love this material. So I'm filling my shaker with some snowflakes. I think these are old from honeybee stamps. I could not find a link for them, but just any kind of shakery material or even some little die cut pieces will work here. Anything that you want to use. I just wanted it to kind of look like falling snow in my shaker. So I actually had to pull it apart, undo to the rescue. And then I refilled my shaker after I doubled up the foam adhesive, and that works so much better. I'm just fixing a couple little things. All right. Here, I think I'm going to add the little snowflakes. And I noticed some little schmutz on there on the front of my shaker window. Couple little dots. This is what I forgot to do on the remaining tags that I did later on, because I think they just finish off the bottom of our little shaker tag so adorably. And then at the top, what we're going to do is we are going to take the whole reinforcer piece and I'm going to put glue on the top and the bottom. Now our tag is kind of thick. Remember, it's got 2 layers of foam adhesive. So what I did is I just put it on the front and the back, and then I took these awesome honeybee stamps tweezers. Thank you to my friend Jen Timko who gave them to me. And I clamped them on the top and let it sit until that glue dried. And it really makes them nice and sturdy. Then I'm going to take some of my favorite Lawn Fawn Lawn Trimmings Red Sparkly Twine, and thread this through the top of each of my shaker tags, and this is going to finish them off perfectly. I absolutely love it. I love these tags. I want to make more of them because I think these are going to be the hit of the season this year. I'll probably just change up the sentiment so I can use some for my family, but like I said, I'm going to use these for my neighbors. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these Shaker Snow Globe gift tag ornaments featuring brand new stamps and dies from the Mama Elephant October 2020 run release. The supplies I used to create my tags are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Mama Elephant products that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. A special shout out and thanks to my Patreon members. You can see them here on the screen. Thank you guys so much. Please definitely click the link below if you would like to become a member of my Patreon. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we will see you next time.